one of the things I wanted to talk about was the Havana Syndrome, where when I first found out about it a couple months ago, and I read about it, and I saw like an interview from one of the guys on YouTube. That was absolutely fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
To be all of a sudden your whole family is waking up with migraines and bleeding out of your nose, and I guess from what I understand is the Russians were blasting microwave energy, very focused microwave energy at these buildings, like either U.S. embassies or buildings like that where they knew Americans were working, either for the CIA or for whatever, blasting microwave energy at them for some reason or not, basically to jam signals or communication. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so what you're getting at when we talk about the Havana Syndrome. So, I mean, first and foremost, we have to recognize that nobody knows what it is. Nobody can confirm if it's even real, right? We've just had enough instances of it where we're like, predominance of evidence suggests something is going on.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who it is, but we know that it started in Havana. And we know that in Havana, it's like the Russian embassy was across the street from the American embassy.
Right.
Right. So like, that's the foundation. That's where it all started. Outside of that, a lot of what's happening is speculation, which makes it dangerous. But here's kind of what I would add to the conversation. We know that there is an inherent risk in direct weapons, kinetic weapons, right? If person A shoots person B, like we live in a world where the whole world knows it now.
Right.
You can't hide the ballistic evidence. Like there's going to be a bullet that has a unique, caliber that's going to come from a gun that has a unique caliber. So you can't hide that kind of stuff. So now we're getting into this world of like energy weapons, and we've seen them in crowd control too. Like how do you break up a crowd without killing people? Like what happened in Kent State back in, the 60s or whatever. So you've got to find a way to break up crowds. You got to find a way to basically target individuals in a way that can't be tracked. So that's where these energy weapons come from, or indirect energy weapons, right? So basically, whether it's a fire hose that just nobody wants to get hit with a fire hose, so they all run away,
right?
Or whether it's a sound wave that makes you vomit or makes you disoriented. Like we've seen these things in other parts of the world. We've seen them here in the United States.
Yeah.
What we have here is an instance where something, and theoretically, it wouldn't be hard to take an energy weapon and mount it and direct it at a certain floor of a building. There's an infrastructure requirement anytime you have an intelligence operation going on. So with an infrastructure requirement, like it's hard to just move your command center from place to place. So once people know where your command center is, they could use a pulse energy weapon and just aim it at the windows and do their thing, right? Disorient you, make you sick to your stomach, cause nosebleeds, push for brain aneurysms, things that can't be tracked. So what's fascinating about the Havana Syndrome is that it happened in Cuba and in China and in Russia and in other countries around the world. And it's most often associated with, diplomats and people who are in the intelligence service who are, at some point in a diplomatic facility. So there you see, like the infrastructure is there, permanent infrastructure. Things are like individuals who are being targeted. It's not like you hear, you don't get articles about janitors who are complaining about this stuff.
Right.
Who are on the first floor.
It's always U.S. diplomats, isn't it?
Yeah, that we hear about the most.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the kind of technology that would be used to make this kind of effect is not the kind of technology that's going to exist in Nigeria or Kenya, right? It's going to come from a first world tech savvy country. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and that's kind of what we're seeing. So for me, it certainly suggests that there's an intentional weapon of some sort that's being used to deter people from going to these command centers. Mm-hmm. Like if I was still in the agency and somebody told me I had to go to Moscow and like sit on the 5th floor, I'd be like, oh, come on, guys. Like, I don't really want to be throwing up every afternoon. That sounds miserable.
Would you really be concerned if they told you that?
Oh, yeah. And I guarantee you people are doing that right now. I promise you. And that's what makes these weapons so powerful. Like, what's happening? I don't know. What's the risk? I don't know. And is it going to happen to me? I don't know. But you have to make a decision to go or not go. And you're like,
And one of the biggest issues with it is, well, I guess initially a lot of the people were getting like paid benefits or paid, basically like they were able to leave and get all their medical stuff taken care of by the government. But I guess now, from what I understand, I could be wrong, but in the most recent cases, the government has basically like denied any of that stuff, and these people aren't getting some of those benefits or those medical benefits.
Yeah, I would hope that, because if you are a government employee, you always have certain government benefits, which goes like kind of points to the whole SolarWinds debacle and the recent breach, the cyber breach with SolarWinds. But yeah, so since all government employees have government benefits, then it doesn't matter if you're undercover or not undercover. You should have the coverage you need to get taken care of.
What is SolarWinds?
So there was a massive breach. I think it was December 12th or 13th. So it's
just a couple days ago.
Just a week ago. Really fascinating example of what I teach as industrial espionage. So SolarWinds is a database company. They're a contracting civilian company, and their job is basically to monitor the performance and the health of different databases for companies and government entities and state organizations.
Yeah.
Like they have something like 18,000 customers. So they're a massive, successful company, right? Well, a breach was just identified. They don't know who it's from. They speculate that it's Russia. And essentially what happened is some sort of foreign hacking malicious code was inserted into their system specifically so that their servers would forward that malicious code onto these targeted clients. And then once it was on these targeted clients' servers, it would penetrate those servers and then start collecting data and sending it back.
Holy shit.
Massive, man. It's the biggest breach that we have ever had in American history. It's all over the news in certain circles, right?
Yeah.
It's not something people are keeping secret, but what I think America doesn't understand is like, this is traditional espionage. The reason I'm excited about my business is because I think we are on the brink of possibly the greatest espionage revolution in history.
If you like this short clip, make sure you click here to see the next clip or here to see the full podcast episode.
So fresh, so new.